Hello and welcome watching the replay. So let's get started. We have 15 minutes of live Q&A today, and I want to go right in. I've received a few questions, and they're all concerned. They're all related to the recent newsletters. I've been emailing my newsletter community, and also to the recent YouTube channels that I have. So I hope you do hear me well. I hope I'm connected well here. So let's get started. The first question comes from Maria, and Maria has a question for fasting. So if you remember, those of you who have been following my newsletters and have seen the last videos, we talked a lot about the Vata season, the time of the year that is the winter time, where Vata increases, and Vata is a time where a lot of movement happens in the body. So in the winter time, the air and ether quality are rising, and the cold qualities are rising, and we say that this Vata time is really, this winter time is one of the times you need to be most careful. And Maria has asked me a question where I can right away reply to her. It's a longer question, but one thing I can say right away. She wrote me, "I've tried different methods of fasting, but none of them suited me 100%. What kind of fasting cleanse would you recommend during the Vata season, especially as a Vata person? I feel like fasting for many days leaves me restless, ungrounded, and messes with my whole system." So what Maria described here is very common to Vata, feeling restless, ungrounded, and messes with my whole system. My answer to you, Maria, is very simple. Don't do a fast in the Vata season. So Vata season, the winter season, right now, December is not recommended in Ayurveda to do a fast. So in Ayurveda, cleansing and rejuvenating are the same, are related with each other. And the way Ayurveda cleanses is not with what you normally would connect to a fast. So, and Ayurveda has very distinct guidelines. So to go through a cleanse is actually very rejuvenating, and actually for all three doshas and for all constitutions, regardless if you're Vata or Vata Pitta, or if you're Kapha or if you're Pitta. It's recommended to go through a kind of a cleanse and rejuvenation process twice a year. And none of them are right now in December. So it's the best time would be September, October, maybe leading into November. So just when the Vata time season starts, and the best season is actually spring. So depending where you are and how the climate is there, some people start in February already. I usually recommend March, April, when it starts to get warm. Right now, the Vata time is not a good time to do a cleanse. One of the reasons we do a cleanse is to let go of toxins physically, but also emotionally and mentally. And from the Ayurvedic point of view, we go through a cleanse to release any excess dosha. Any dosha like Vata, Pitta, Kapha, and the symptoms related to it that are in excess. So Vata, if there is excess Vata, you can let go of excess Vata, but it's not a good time to do this right now in the middle of the winter. Actually, the whole body has closed down. It's locked its doors. The fall, the fruits of the summer have been harvested. You always have to relate to nature when you think of Ayurveda. And now it's basically time to go indoors. Also the cells, everything in our body has closed down. Now our body is kind of on a survival modus. It's cold outside, there's in nature no natural foods, so our body shuts down. It's not a good time to encourage the body to cleanse. The good time is then in the spring, starting in March. Our body tissue are like the earth in nature, when it starts to soften up and the sun is coming down, and it makes the earth soft, and so the earth is opening up from its frozen state and sprouts can come out. So that's also the same thing for our body. Our pores are opening up, the cells are opening up. We are ready to release. And actually in the spring, that's where you should do the cleanse. But I think your question is basically, I'm a Vata person. Shall I do cleanses anyway? So this is a long answer. As I said already, also as a Vata constitution or Vata imbalanced constitution, it's important to do cleanses. But Ayurveda doesn't do a cleanse or a fast where you think you're just drinking juices or just drinking water and nothing else. I couldn't do that either. I've done it forcefully to myself when I was a ballet dancer, and it didn't do me well. The great thing about the Ayurvedic cleanses, the way Ayurveda recommends it, is that you don't stop eating. You are changing to what's called a mono diet of khichdi for a period of time. And in this period of time, you constrict your diet to a simple diet that is very easily digestible by your body. So your body has extra energy to release toxins and excess dosha in the meantime. I personally recommend doing these fasts for you personally, one-on-one. It's called in Ayurveda, it's called Panchakarma. So there are also Panchakarma centers all over the world, in India, Sri Lanka, but also in Europe, offering these Panchakarmas. But as I've mentioned in one of the newsletters, I've written a lot about it in the spring newsletter of this year. I usually work with my clients on a home Panchakarma, where you can stay home, you can prepare yourself for this cleansing period at home. And it's nice if you can take a week off. For example, a lot of clients plan this in the spring. They plan a week, and because the body needs energy to cleanse itself. But the good news is you're not hungry actually this time. You're eating normally, you're just eating very specific food. And once we know what your constitution is and what your imbalance is, an Ayurvedic practitioner or an Ayurvedic doctor or Ayurvedic specialist like I am can determine, okay, you need to use these kinds of foods, you need to use these kinds of herbs. And usually in Ayurveda, it's also not, you say, okay, you live normally, you eat normally, and then suddenly you don't eat anything or just drink juices and teas for a few days. In Ayurveda, a cleansing or a fast has three steps to it. The first one is a preparation phase. You preparing the body already with giving the body certain foods and drinks and herbs. And then you have a core phase. And depending how deep you want to go, this core phase could also be just a weekend, 3-4 days. I usually like to do with my clients a 10 to 14 day core phase, where you have specific foods and you apply specific Ayurvedic body treatments to yourself, and you ideally have herbs that are specifically for you and your constitution. And afterwards, it's very important to have an equal amount of time of fading out, because most of the fasts and cleanses don't work because you start it, you don't eat it, and then you go back right away to the other thing, and this is, there's so much I can talk about, but I do want to go to another question as well. So Ayurveda recommends a fade in phase, a core phase, and a fade out phase. And then the most important part, which Ayurveda recommends, then comes the rejuvenation phase. So in Ayurveda, we don't just have cleansing and fasting. Cleansing and fasting is connected to rejuvenating. First, we want to open the pores, let the body release itself, but then we want to rejuvenate. And that's what the Vatas need very much. And so I hope this answers your question, at least for a little bit. I would recommend not to do anything now in the winter. When you want to do gentle cleanses, I would just recommend 1 day a week just to eat warm soups now in the winter, just to have a simple diet 1 day a week, just to give your digestive system a break. But don't stop eating. This is really bad for Vata. Vata increases. And then if you're really serious about it, consider doing an Ayurvedic traditional Panchakarma cleanse, either in a center or with a clinical Ayurvedic specialist like I am. I would recommend, I know from my experience with clients, the best thing is to do it one-on-one, so it's really made for you. But I'm sure there are Ayurvedic centers or also studios in Vienna, wherever you are, that can just give you guidelines and you can do it. The second question, it's already the 15 minutes are over, but I hope a lot of people got something out of it. Maria, I know you've sent me other questions. Well, I will answer them in the next Q&A, so I'll keep them. But here I want to answer another question from someone related to my last newsletter and video saying, which is connected also to the first question. So it's Catherine asking, I know you shared about the sugar and how we can, you gave us some tips and tricks how I can curb the sugar craving now over Christmas, but it's really hard for me. Once I start to eat one piece of cookie or one piece of chocolate, I can't stop, So what would you recommend I do? And this is a big topic as well. I could just talk hours probably about it, but to make it short, as I already mentioned in my video, some people have a sugar addiction. It's actually more often than we think. So if you assume you have something like this, I recommend you seeing something professional, just who is specialized with this. But if you think, I just crave sugar and how can I stop it? There are lots of recommendations I have for you. For today, I want to tell you the best thing with sugar, if you can stop, there are two types of people. There are those people who can control it, who can have just a little bit and then let it be and move on. Or those, and I've heard this so many times, like you, who once they start to eat it, they keep on going. What I tell my clients, and it has really worked for them, is stop eating sugar for a longer period of time. In German we say eine Entwöhnung, you withdraw from it completely. And also there's research who backs this up. If you can, you can set yourself a goal of a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. It's usually recommended a month. And if that's not working for you, even 3 months, where you really say, I don't touch sugar. I don't want it. I don't touch it. Even, if I feel like it, it's just no. And the body really, really, in the beginning, you might have the craving, but once your mind knows, no, that's not for me, it will stop wanting it and the body will stop craving it. And for example, I have a funny example to share here. My husband just did the same thing, and that's my second recommendation. If you do something like this, really get an accountability partner. It's very important to have someone you are accountable for, who kind of you can report to, I didn't have any sugar today, and the next day again. A simple accountability partner would be a checklist. You write down the dates of the months you don't want to eat sugar, and each day you manage to not touch sugar or not, you write the date and you click it off. That's the simplest accountability. My husband was very clever. I want to share it with you. What he did, he said, I traveled to Vienna in these 2 weeks. I don't want to touch any sugar. So he was visiting his mom, so it was a bit difficult. He said, no, I don't feel well. I just don't want to touch it at all. And he told our 2 boys that they're allowed to text him every evening, asking him, Daddy, did you have any sugar today? And if he would have said yes, he arranged with them that he pays them 50 euros. So, of course, our boys were very eager to text him every day. Daddy, did you have sugar? Because they wanted to earn the money. But he was very eager not to pay the money and to have someone check up on him. And really, this whole week, he didn't touch sugar. Even so, he was visiting his mom. She could have made nice things for him. But he made it. And this was just an example of 2 weeks. But you can do something like this for a month. And as I shared, and I recommend to you to watch the video I've had before, for me, and I just today, a client told me again, starting yoga and starting a regular practice of yoga is shifting your body so much that after a while, things you were craving and wanting, especially, sweets and sugar is a form of balancing vata, of grounding, you don't want it anymore. And things you have craved, it's not just sugar, it's alcohol, it's meat as well. I've heard it for 20 years. Just the client told me today as well, you don't want it. So my recommendation for your question, set a time, can be a week, 2 weeks, ideally a month. If that's not working, even 3 months. Get an accountability partner, say you just don't have any sugar, and you will notice you want less. And once you start up again, you will notice you don't want that much anymore. And the second one, while you do this, start to practice yoga. And ideally, but this is the next step, do some breathing exercises, do some relaxation. Yes, so our time is over. I hope those two are happy. Next time I will go into the questions I've received, and I will go deeper into the next questions. The next Q&A we have in 2 weeks' time. I believe today is the 23rd, so that will be the 6th of January. Next Monday on the 30th, we have a quick tip session that will be just 10 minutes. And if you like this, if you want to go deeper, especially also in the food aspect of Ayurveda, I have a beautiful holistic starter kit on my website. If you go on my website, Verena, VERENA, Primus, PRIMUS.com. You open up on the right-hand side, it says free starter kit, and you can register for it and you get beautiful tools 5 days into your inbox. And one of them is a wholesome eating guide, wholesome eating recommendations from Ayurveda, but also a free yoga class that you can do as often as you want, a free meditation, a holistic checklist, and an ebook. So I would recommend, if you want to go a little bit deeper with that, also on my website, there's a whole explanation how I do fasts and cleanses with Ayurveda. If you have any question, please feel free to contact me. We can always have a free chat about it if you're interested. So I hope you're using my free resource. I hope to see you next Monday again. If you want more information, regular information, sign up into my channel, sign up on my for my newsletter. There should be the login in the description or in the link tree. And I hope this was of value today. Thank you very much. Namaste.